Hey folks, good evening and welcome for joining us. I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, and welcome once again to another charity roundtable here on C&C Power Hour. This month we are talking Tarkir Dragonstorm. If you love those dragons, make sure to let us know in chat. Additionally, we will be raising donations tonight for the Trevor Project. Hit Command Donate in chat and donate in $5 intervals to be entered into the raffle for prizes all night long. This ranges from Infinite Tokens prize packs through to precons from Dragonstorm. So make sure to get those donations in. Additionally, we will be doing Q&A at the end of tonight's session. So use the Q&A point redemption in chat in order to highlight your questions so that we will get to it by the end of tonight's stream. But I am not alone here. I am joined by this very distinguished crew. Once again, grateful for everybody to come out. Let's take a look at who's joining us tonight. Returning once again, familiar face and familiar friend, it's the amazing Bobbie-Christine. Bobbie-Christine, welcome back. Why don't you let everybody know who you are, where we can find you, and let us know what Tarkir clan you are from.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. First of all, I want to win precons and infinite tokens. But hi everybody, Bobbie-Christine here. Out here with the Lobby Pristine and Birds of Paradise. You can find me everywhere at Bobbie-Christine. And just real quick, for those who may possibly be attending Vegas, I'm excited to announce that the group Birds of Paradise, we're going to have a little space there at MagicCon Vegas. So just a quick aside, if you're going to be there, come on by, look for the Big Bird. We'd love to catch you there. My clan is certainly through and through Mardu. I'm a Mardu girly, and every time I read and see a Mardu card, I'm like, dang, I'm just right. I nailed it. So yeah, I will always be a Mardu girly. If I'm not Golgari, I am Mardu. Those are definitely my two.
Love to hear it. Welcome back once again. And joining us for the first time, we've got Alec. Alec, welcome. Why don't you let everybody know who you are, where we can find you, and what your Tarkir clan is?
Thank you so much, Chris. First of all, I'm Bobbie-Christine's #1 fan, so got to get that out there. So my name's Alec. I make a podcast called the Faerie Conclave, and it's a little show where I interview people about their favorite decks. I've had Bobbie-Christine on an episode, so it was a really good one, and you should go listen to it. And I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. And as far as my Tarkir clan goes, at some point we're going to get into like the first time Tarkir came around back in Cons of Tarkir, but back then I was a pretty new player, and Wizards had a quiz you could take that would assign you one of the clans based on some personality tests, and I love a little personality quiz. So I took that and got Sultai, and whoever made that quiz like immediately nailed it on the first try, because I've been a Sultai player ever since then, and still am to this day.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Another new face joining us tonight, Ruben. Ruben, welcome to the show. Why don't you let everybody know who you are, where we can find you, and what Tarkir clan you are?
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Hi, everybody. I'm the internet's Ruben Bressler. You can follow me everywhere at MoxReuby, which is spelled like this. It's a Magic the Gathering pun. I've been making Magic the Gathering content for almost 20 years on the internet. I was a host of the In Contention podcast about 15 years ago, where we got my very first preview card ever, and I've previewed about 60 Magic the Gathering cards over the course of my career. I was also the DM of the Broken Pact, which was the first ever D&D Magic the Gathering live stream show on the Wizards of the Coast D&D channel. The last 9 years, I've been one of the co-hosts of Magic Mics, which is a weekly Magic the Gathering talk show with my co-hosts Evan Irwin and Power Dragon. and we are very excited about Tarkir Dragonstorm, partially because one of my co-hosts is a dragon, and the other one enjoys big stompy monsters. And who doesn't love dragons? So I went, and I'm an ambassador for Tarkir Dragonstorm, which is my first time being an ambassador in the program, which is very exciting for me. And I went in unaffiliated because I didn't have any allegiances to any of the Tarkir clans, I wouldn't say. But I am a big fan of Toughness Matters strategies, so I'm going to go with Abzan as my clan because I like big butts.
Cannot lie.
And I cannot lie. Oh, I also, as part of the ambassador program, just released my first episode of The Newsening in the last 12 years, which was my weekly comedy show that I did back when I worked for Star City Games forever ago. Please go check that out. It's up on YouTube. It's on my socials. It's on TikTok, all that kind of good stuff.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Speaking of amazing as well, we just crossed the $100 mark in donations.
Hey!
Already.
Woohoo!
So thank you everyone out there. We'll continue raising donations. Once we get to that $300 goal, we'll be adding more prizes to the pool too. So please do keep it coming. Hit command donate in chat and donate in those $5 increments. Thank you. But on the topic of amazing is my partner in crime, my perpetual co-host for the roundtables. It's none other than Claybee. Clay, welcome back once again.
Hi, it's so good to be here, and it's definitely a voluntary decision that is made and not contractually obligated. No, hi friends, I'm Claybee. I'm 1/3 of the C&C Power Hour. Chris and Andy, who are on the backside, who put together all of the other stuff, the platform that we're streaming through, the card previews that we got, all of that stuff is done by them. I just show up and I talk, and then disappear back into the ether. But we do these charity roundtables with Chris, as he mentioned, with each set as they come out. And this only works because of all of the friends in the community who come on and talk with us and help us raise money for good causes. And so to the people here on the panel and to everybody in the chat, I just want to say thank you again for spending your Wednesday night with us. I'm beating myself up. I forgot to grab my pin, but in my backpack, I still have my Abzan pin that I got from the first time that we went to Tarkir. And so I have been Abzan. I was a very new player at the time. I know we'll talk about that later, but I've been Abzan for my entire Magic career. And I'm so excited to be back.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. I am a Sultai fan myself, so Alec and I on the same page in this one ever since that first pre-release from the original Tarkir. But that brings me to my next question. Clay, were you you were playing during the first Tarkir, right?
Like so briefly. So we started, so Chris, Andy, and I, they had played Magic a little bit before that, but we started playing Magic together. And so we started with M15, and then the next set was Tarkir. So it was basically our first like Magic set experience of getting to see new cards as they came out and get to play with them and immerse ourselves in like a proper plane. And so like that was really cool to do. And so that it created a level of nostalgia I probably didn't anticipate. Like when they initially announced Tarkir, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the preview started coming out and the story started, and I was like, oh, I actually am really excited about this. I did not know how much this would mean to me.
Absolutely. And that's great. I think that a lot of players are really excited about returning to the plane, especially after such an absence here, because it was one of the more popular blocks of the last, 15 years at this point. So it brought a lot of new players in. Bobbie-Christine, where were you around the time of the first Tarkir block?
The first Tarkir was that you said M15, so that was 2015 or 2016?
2014.
2014. Yeah.
Okay. I was in my era of Magic where I was just accumulating random packs and random things. And my biggest connection was Dragon Lord Atarka, who actually was my very first commander. So in 2017, when I got into Commander, and it was at that time where it was like, just pick a legend and throw together what you got, kind of thing. Dragon Lord of Tarka, my goal with that deck was to cast it as many times as I could. I was just like, how many times can I cast this big dragon? Not a good game plan, but the Dragon Lords in particular, a couple years after Tarkir is the thing that really stuck with me, because I got into Commander in 2017 and I wanted to I made an Dragon deck, and the pinnacle of that deck was getting all of the Dragon Lords into the deck. Like, I had to have every single Dragon Lord, and that was very formative for me. Having a Culligan on board and feeling the power of all the hasted Dragon Lords was absolutely formative. So it wasn't necessarily the set itself, but the legends and the dragons and pieces that ended up being super formative for me.
Nice. Very nice. I think a lot of people can relate to the dragons pulling them in, which is one of the big draws of going back to the plane right now. Ruben, how about you? What was your experience with the first Tarkir block?
Well, yeah, I was playing during the first Tarkir block. I had just moved to Las Vegas, maybe a year or two prior, and I drafted a lot of Tarkir. One of the things that is notable about the original Tarkir is that to this day, Khans of Tarkir boxes are some of the most sought after for group drafts, because it's such a fun draft environment. As it pertains to standard, I am a mono red mage a lot of the time, and there was like a pretty good Monastery Swift Spear mono red deck that existed. I think that this was Goblin Rabblemaster era, so I was probably jamming that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm thinking of the right deck, this is the Foundry Street Denizen era, where I was attacking with a lot of 1/1s and trying to beat Siege Rhinos. And, sometimes you just fight the good fight. So that was my experience with the original Khans. I really liked the setup of the original story, where we had Fate Reforged in the middle to sort of balance out the time travel element. It felt just like this Tarkir as a really like a home base, like a return to what the thing is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a hat set. It's not a Universes Beyond set. This is dragons doing magic stuff, and I love that.
Yeah, feels super refreshing after the last year or so of Magic sets, for sure. Alec, how about you? Where were you the first time Tarkir came about?
Yeah, I think Tarkir was the first set that I locked in on Magic. I started playing in 2011 with Innistrad because I love horror movie spooky type stuff. So that got me playing, but it wasn't the sole hobby that has engrossed my life to this day until Tarkir came out. And I think as I was thinking about this, I think a huge reason for that was the 3-color clans. I know a lot of people talk about Ravnica having it's like a period where people identified with one of the guilds, and it kind of solidifies your yourself in the story, and you identify with the characters of that guild. And that was Tarkir for me. So I read all of the stories that came out, the article stories, and that's when I got into the lore, and I just dove straight into Magic after that. And yeah, I think I told this story. I had a little podcast episode about my preview card for Tarkir Dragonstorm, and I think it's kind of cute. But I was taking general chemistry my first year at college as spoilers for the original Khans of Tarkir were coming out, and I didn't absorb a single ounce of that class's curriculum, because every day I was just reading all the threads about all the new cards. I was totally in it. And yeah, and I still remember where I was sitting in the classroom while I was going through the spoilers and getting all of the lore of the characters. So yeah, very fond memories for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I loved the original Tarkir block personally. that was when I went hard into Standard. I loved the Standard season of Tarkir. It was great. It was coming off of the back of Theros, and a
Oh, that's
Tarka.
right.
Yeah, a Tarka Red was
Yeah.
my deck. So a Tarka's Command and all of the good red stuff was that was my tournament grinder deck, and I put up some results with that one. So I always have fond memories of the Tarkir block from back in those days, which was great, always fun, and it's great to see a return to it because these 3-color clans are iconic, and absolutely love to see them. Bobbie-Christine.
You mentioned Theros, and I can't help but think, like, what an era. The gods followed by the elder dragons. I'm like, take me back. Just that era is golden. That's all.
Yeah, that was a weird era because you had green black Constellation, which was a very, very Theros heavy deck, and then you had Abzan, which was kind of the same mana base but entirely different colors, all cons cards. It was a wild Standard environment for sure.
Yeah, I remember the blue-white or Bant heroic deck.
Yes.
That was 99% Theros cards. And it was basically these decks had eliminations at the set markers. Nothing carried over from set to set. And it was like you can pick up one and then carry it over to the next. And then you have to pick up another one once it rotates out. It was an era where these decks were kind of indicative of the block that they were from, which I really enjoyed. I like the different feel of all the different decks that were around in that Standard period. But those Standard days are long behind me now.
Sure.
So, I mean, this is a set that, like we mentioned, is a return to what feels like Magic. This is the Dragon set. We're back with kind of classic Magic feel here for anybody that goes back to the classic Shivan Dragons that really brought the young people like me to the game back in the day. It's great to see more dragons into the set, into this. Is this really the feel that you want from Magic sets? Is this a, no hat sets, no Universes Beyond sets? Do you want just like raw distilled, this is a core Magic set? Is that what you feel about this? Is this something that kind of resonates with you as what Magic is? Alec, how about we start with you? What do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because every set that has come out the last year or so, I can completely understand the like purpose behind it and how the story got set up, and with kind of the latest story arc from the Phyrexian invasion, changing the way characters move through planes and that type of thing. It all makes sense to me, but I think in hindsight, just in comparison, Tarkir Dragonstorm has been, like you said, it's been refreshing just to kind of reset a little bit. It feels like it's not trying too hard to kind of fit in with that overall story, or like kind of forcing characters we see in each, like we don't have a Kellen card, for example, which we had, I think, 3 or 4 sets in a row. And I think it's nice to, like, I like that kind of thing. I think it's cool to have cycles like that, but it's nice to also refresh that every once in a while. And I think Tarkir has been just hitting the sweet spot for me.
Awesome. Bobbie-Christine, what do you think?
I would say it absolutely feels like Magic the Gathering, and I love Universes Beyond, but that doesn't mean I don't understand that it is such a departure from the game that we've known for like 2 decades. And between the hat sets and between the Universes Beyond, I get that it's like becoming something else. But as soon as the Tarkir preview started, I actually made a post. I was like, if you feel like Magic the Gathering's gone, it turns out you just gotta wait like 10 minutes. Just hold on, because like as I saw Elspeth and I saw Ugin and just these clan cards, and I was just like literally had that internal like, oh baby, we're back. Like there's Magic the Gathering right there. Like So I'm on that page. I think they knocked it out, and it's really nice to like be back in a sense. I know we'll probably say sayonara here soon again, but hopefully future sets keep being able to pull that feeling in.
Absolutely. Ruben, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a lot of patience for the sets where it's like, what if we all were in clown makeup? Or what if we all were upside down? I'm fine with those sets. I am a big apologist for Murder at Karlov Manor, personally, because I love a noir. I liked Outlaws and what it did to the environment. I really like the sets where it's like, what if everybody was doing something else than normal? I'm super apologetic to those. And every once in a while, those are spectacular. It's not like that's that much different from like a Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, which was, for all intents and purposes, the set of the year that year, like 2 years ago. So I like those. I have less patience for Universes Beyond because we have so much lore. I don't need chocolate in my peanut butter. I just like chocolate. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. I'm really excited. I really love the Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm looking forward to the Marvel stuff. I'm not a Final Fantasy girly myself, but I'm sure there are lots of people out there that are, and I'm happy for them. But I definitely look at it a lot like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where I like a sequel and I'm okay with a crossover, but what I really want is an origin movie. What I really want is the first Iron Man, the first Shang-Chi. That's what I want. And this is kind of that. This is definitely a sequel, but it's a 10 years later sequel, right? Maybe a reboot is better. This is a lot more like the new Captain America, for example, or the new Spider-Man. So I have a lot of patience for a lot of what Magic's trying to do to stay up with the youths. And I'm happy to go on that trip with them. But at the same time, I'm an old man. I've been playing Magic since the numbers started with 19 instead of 2000. And I want to play Magic as Magic, not as, some other game or as some weird Instagram filter. I really love the pureness of like a Dominaria or a Tarkir.
Absolutely. Well said. I think that that echoes the way a lot of people are responding to the set as it's been revealed and the previews that have come out. It does feel like a return to Magic for a lot of people, especially those that have been playing for the last 10 years and have started to feel disillusioned by the diluting of the brand from new sets. Definitely, this seems like a return to form. But Clay, would love to hear what you think.
Man, I went last, and I'm still trying to like really fully formulate my thought on this. I was like, oh man, the moment you like asked the question, I was like, I'm so glad I went first on the last one, just to have more time. I think like it feels like Magic. This feels like what we were doing 10 years ago. And that does feel good. I'm on here every roundtable talking about how I enjoy the new sets, the new style, the Universe Blonde, the like kind of new different places that we're going. I think that for a while, personally, especially leading up to like War of the Spark and then kind of right around in that area, Magic felt I don't want to say stale, but it kind of felt like we'd just been doing the same thing in the same places with the same faces for long enough that I was like, this is no longer like hitting that itch, right? But then getting like Ruben mentioned Neon Dynasty, and then like Bobbie in the chat mentioned Outlaws Thunder Junction, and even Murder at Karlov Manor. Like there's those places, even though I know for some people it's the hat set, it's disillusioning, whatever, and I can be sympathetic to that. I think that keeping the hits spaced out and you get to go explore new places, you get to go meet new people and do things, and then you get to come back to Tarkir, or then Lorwyn is I think is on the horizon, right?
Yeah.
And like Lorwyn is one of those that like I've never been to Lorwyn. in like my Magic history, right? I know of it. I know it's beloved, but I haven't been there. I'm really excited for that. But if it's Tarkir, Theros, and I think that was part of it too. Like as much as I like the blocks for story development, keeping them fresher by being places less and going to new places helps keep my interest in the story.
Yeah.
Great. Alec, you had something to add.
Yeah, and I think to add on to what you were saying, Clay, the this set, Tarkir Dragonstorm, should get some props for being a sequel set. I think it at one point, maybe 6 years ago, having like Return to Ravnica or Return like Shadows over Innistrad was just guaranteed to be a hit. But I think we've seen on that third return to Innistrad that didn't hit quite as hard as the other time, that a return set isn't just guaranteed to be good. And or like feel as good. And so Kamigawa is like one of the ones where they really nailed it. And I think that's something that the designers have learned from. And yeah, Tarkir Dragonstorm, just at least for me so far, and from what I've played so far, it just like feels like they totally nailed that return. Yeah.
Absolutely. I am with you. I think that Tarkir Dragonstorm is up there with Neon Dynasty as a return to set that absolutely knocks it out of the park. It's a home run for sure. Before we move on to our next questions, I do want to remind everybody out in chat that we are raising donations tonight for the Trevor Project. Donate in $5 increments for your chance to win at the end of today's roundtable. Our Infinite Tokens prize packs, precons from Dragons of Tarkir. Please do donate. Please do get in on this. We'll be doing the draw later. We'll also be doing Q&A later. Please highlight your message using the highlight message point redemption in Twitch chat so that we can answer your questions. All right. So overall set impressions aside, I want to dive into a little bit of the lore behind this set here. We were told, very interestingly, in a tell don't show kind of approach, that this was a bit forecasted that we were coming back to Tarkir with dragons being seeded through the last couple of sets. Personally, I found that was very subtle and not something that I picked up on until we were told that. Did any of you pick up on that, or is that something that you really feel like story and design could have done a lot better? Ruben, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, they were real subtle. They were really not focusing on it. And with how overt the Omen Path arc was, for example, with Kellen and having him in every set as a headliner card, with how overt the Phyrexian bad guy arc was, with how big and over the top the original Nico Bolas arc was, I am sympathetic to them trying to be a little bit more understated, particularly because now we know that the villain is, spoiler alert, Nico Bolas, who is a sneaky guy. He's a sneaky bastard who's been pulling strings from his meditation plane, trying to get back out. And so just a few little breadcrumbs for the people who are really paying attention, you know, the Gianellis of the world who are like, what's this lore happening? You know, get the Vorthos cast people on the case. And I like looking for something that maybe the porridge was too hot for some people before. Maybe the porridge is too cold for people here. And, you know, it's like Bobbie-Christine said with the in the previous thing, is like, well, if you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. It's a vaudeville act. We'll do something else later. Just be just a little patient, and we'll try another way to tell the story. But I think it's fun to look back on and, you know, be like, oh, how cute, how clever they were to do it this way.
Yeah, I just wish that we, as the players, were the ones to say, oh, hey, that's really clever. Or, hey, is that a dragon from Tarkir? As opposed to the Magic designer and story crew coming out and saying, hey, by the way, that's a Tarkir dragon right there. Seems like they missed the mark on the subtlety on that one.
That's fair.
Alec, you had something to add as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think it wasn't really like how subtle it was that mattered to me too much. It was more, at least when Bloomburrow came out, that was where there was like a Kolagon dragon that had leaked out from Tarkir that seemed the most evident to me. And I think by the point Bloomburrow came out, I was just, everything from every plane was everywhere already, so it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Until they started with the Tarkir story, and then I was kind of like, okay, the reason why it matters is because of the Dragonstorms, which are, you know, attacking people and causing chaos all over the multiverse. But just seeing those little pieces here and there, it was like, well, we've got a few sets so far where there's like Rakdos on a train, so this dragon isn't really something I care about yet.
Makes sense. Clay, how do you feel about this reveal of Tarkir leaking out into other planes?
I think it's cool. I like the idea of like breadcrumb trail that's literal crumb. You walk by it, you don't realize it, and then somebody points it out, and as you're walking back, you're like, oh, they're there. But I kind of like Alec, I was in the point where when the dragons were showing up in the previous sets, I was like, that makes sense. More than just people are going to go on the omen paths. And so there's going to be shenanigans like that, right? But I do want to say I had a brief moment when Ruben was talking about like how over the top like the Phyrexian arc was. And I just instantly had this like mental picture of it being the Dragon Lords showing up in each of the planes. And so it's like, oh, Dramoka is on Thunder Junction. What is how wild that would have been for people? Or like with Dragonhawk, right? Like if it was Kolagon as a bird on Bloomburrow, that would have been wild. I think this is better what they did this way, but the implications of what would have happened would have been really fun, I think.
I think that would have been a great way to tease it out is, hey, across the previous 5 sets, have the 5 Dragon Lords on the 5 previous sets. I think that would have been wild, but it definitely would have given us a taste of what happens when something as powerful as a Dragon Lord crosses planes. That would have been wild, in my opinion. But Bobbie-Christine, what do you think? Were these crumbs a little too small, or were they enough to give us a teaser?
I think they were I hope they were enough that the people who are really into the story were picking up on it. I'm not big on the lore, but I do, like Claybee was saying, I do like back when Throat of Eldraine and Vorinclex shows up, and it's like, what is Vorinclex doing here? Like, what is going on? So if Dragonhawk was Kolagon, I think that would have hit super hard, but I have to say I respect the subtlety at the same time. And to me, it is a success because as someone who's not into the lore, it does give me that impulse to be like, well, I want to go like find those crumbs. Like, oh, which dragons were they talking about? Were the crumbs? And then it does give a little light on to the wider narrative that they're building. And so that impulse to want to go back and find out, I think, does make it a success. Dragonhawk in particular is so curious because I in my head, I didn't know the lore. I didn't read the story. And in my head, like, that's just the one dragon that lived on Bloomburrow. Like Bloomburrow, it is like full of critters and stuff, but there's just like one dragon who like haunts the place. Just like there's like the one wolf or the one tiger. I thought that was an interesting aspect. And so they got away with that. It was super subtle. And then but that's the crumb. And now I'm sitting here looking at Dragonhawk, and I'm like, that is of that brood. How cool is that? So,
I think the Wizards team said, yeah, our hint was it's a dragon that has 4 wings. Of course, it's a Kolagon dragon. That should have tipped you off right away. Which again, very subtle, but I think very cleverly laid. I would have liked to see something a little bit more overt, but that's just because I don't engage with the story to quite a ways to look that deep into some of these cards too. But as a fan of the original Tarkir, I would have loved to have known, hey, this is setting the seeds for us to see what happens when dragons cross the omen paths. Right. So I think that that was something that personally I would have liked to have seen a little bit more overt. But what we have seen really overt here are the returning faces in the story that have come back. And that is that already, seemingly, and I'm going to say far too soon for my liking, Ugin and Bolas are back as of this set. I know a lot of folks are excited to see their favorite antagonist return once again, with Bolas leaving the meditation plane, or at least having the door opened to the meditation plane here. But we've got these two dragons back in action and back on the table. What do we think of this? It seems like, to me at least, War of the Spark was just a few years ago, but I think at this point it's already been how long? When was War of the Spark? Somebody tell me.
2019.
I think 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
6
6 years Bolas has been off the table, and here we go. Is it too soon to have him back? What does everybody think about having Bolas back in action? Bobbie-Christine, why don't we start with you?
It's just so odd that it does feel too soon. But then I sit here and I say, hold on, did you say 6 years? And as one of the like frontal definitive iconic villains, maybe of like, I don't want to be all dramatic, but Nico Bolas, like I feel like people will know Nico. They're like, oh, that's the Magic the Gathering. That's like Magic, right? And so to have Nico Bolas really be this the definitive villain, I guess 6 years is enough. If I sit back and look at it, War of the Spark was a while ago, and if I just look at the human timeline of our concept of time, I'm like, you know what? I guess maybe it has been long enough. Maybe I do kind of miss that guy, you know?
Yeah, totally fair. Ruben, what do you think about having Bolas back so soon?
I mean, yeah, I think that when you look at the villains of all time of Magic, we've got the Phyrexians. We just had a great Phyrexian arc. We've got the Eldrazi, who are newer in our story, but more ancient in the multiverse, and we are probably going to interact with them, I imagine, with Edge of Eternities later this year. And then you've got Nicol Bolas. And after Nicol Bolas, it's like Baron Sengir, who's great, but not on the same, it's a different tier. You know what I mean? And I would love to see a Baron Sengir arc. I think that would be delightful. But it is about time. It is about, we're ready for Nicol Bolas to come back. He's been doing what he wants to do on the meditation plane for a little bit. I'm ready for him to be here.
Fantastic. My mind just immediately went to, let's see a War of the Vampires across the plains now that they can cross the Omen paths. Let's
Nice.
have all of the different broods of vampires clash. That's immediately where I went to, is like, oh right, we can have like the Sengir clan meet the new Olivia and Edgar clan, and we can have Soren leading a rogue group, all clashing across the multiverse. Somebody write that down, please.
It'd be great. Listen, far be it from me, the world's biggest Olgrotha apologist, to not want to do a Baron Sengir arc. But Nicol Bolas is a different level. He's, he's a different level of villain. And I really like that they are going back to that well, but they didn't, they did it sneakily and they did it quietly. And it allowed us to forget that Nicol Bolas was trapped and not dead. And I really appreciate that.
Great. Alec, what do you think about seeing Ugin and Bolas back seemingly so soon?
Yeah. I think it's brilliant, honestly. I think that's part of the reason why the set is hitting so hard and it feels so like Magic, is that plot twist. And it's another thing, like we've been talking about, where the kind of build up to the set has felt so good, is like Fate Reforged was that incredible, the first time Ugin had a Planeswalker card, which I'm sorry, I don't remember what the sub name was for that card. But Yeah, so we should have known that there would be a new, like, he would be involved in the story in some way, because that was a part of Tarkir's like core story. And yeah, the plot twist, and not to, spoiler alert for the story, but it's been out for a little while now. So the ending with Bolas being released, and then the lead into Edge of Eternities being the next Magic set, is just super interesting to me. It's kind of the first time one set to another in the kind of recent structure of sets has felt like I really liked this thing we're getting, and I'm really excited to see where it goes to the next one, rather than some of the interactions between previous sets. So yeah, it's really exciting to me.
Amazing. Clay, how do you feel about seeing these two back?
It's fine. I'll be. I don't
Incredible.
I don't hate it, but as somebody who was really vocal about being frustrated about a bunch of the new cool, interesting planeswalkers being desparked, and this whole like we're moving away kind of, right? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do the Omen Pass. We're gonna lean on legendary creatures. And now we're back to just two of the big planeswalkers that run everything, rule everything, have been like they are the big power spots. And I forget that Nicol Bolas has been gone for 6 years, because I am still getting victimized by different Nicol Bolas cards on Arena every week. So it feels like he never left. And so I think it can be cool for the story. I think Bolas as a villain is obviously iconic, and the nature of Bolas's machinations don't have to show up every set, like what happened with the Phyrexian set we just had recently, where by the end of it, even people like there were a lot of people who loved the Phyrexians, loved the arc, and were like, I kind of need a refresh. And so Bolas can be Bolas's appearance this year, and then we might see Bolas once next year, and before like the plans all come together. So in that way, like I think it'd be cool. I think he's a more interesting villain personally than Eldrazi, or as Bobbie put it in the chat, when Ruben was listing the villains, I was like, we're going back to slivers. It's going to be Eldrazi, and then we're going to get slivers again. But I think Bolas is a really good kind of that like building block villain that you get to explore over years. So in that way, it's cool. But I wish we hadn't desparked a bunch of the new cool people before we went back to these two.
Right. Bolas is definitely the long-term plans villain here, so that we can see this seeded throughout sets for the next couple of years, and then have that come to a culmination. But I'm wondering if this is setting a precedent where these grand villains like the Phyrexians or the Eldrazi's or Bolas are only off the table for 5 to 6 years before we see them come back. I really liked that with Duskmourn, we got a new potential big bad villain with Valgavoth as well. I'd really like to see that explored further. Alec's already repping right there. Love to see it. But I would love to see more new villains. I would love to see more new antagonists introduced before we go back to some of the old well-tread characters here. Anyone with any feelings about that? Yeah.
Give Tezzeret his moment.
Sure.
It's coming up in Edge of Eternities,
That's
right?
Tezzeret's Edge of Eternities villain. I forgot about that.
I hope it actually ends up getting to be his moment, and not just like, well. And I'm even more scared about that now that Bolas is back.
Right, exactly. Because Tezzeret, notorious the Starscream to Bolas's Megatron here.
Right.
So is Edge of Eternities the I've been working for Bolas all along Tezzeret arc here once again.
This feels like maybe a little bit of a almost basic take. And as someone, I gotta admit, not super into the lore, I'd love to see like maybe in a couple years when it's the proper return of Bolas, they do like a crossover, like Bolas decides to utilize the slivers as his weapon or something like that, or the Eldrazi and the slivers become this horrible nightmare or something. I just want to see some villain crossover, but I'll admit that's maybe a little too easy.
Bolas gets completed, and you see that like Phyrexian Bolas crossover there, something like that. Especially considering we know that completion can be reversed at this point too. it'd be nice to see, hey, two of the biggest bads create this big thing. It gets defeated. They get separated again. Great. It worked. Clay?
Do you remember the uncard, the Sliv Eldrazi?
Yeah.
Just like the slivers
right.
that Eldrazi like
Right.
fuse or mutate somehow, and you're just like a bunch of slivers with the little Kozilek thing. Like that'd be great. That'd be so wild.
And then they'll be like, we left a clue.
Yeah. Didn't you see the silver? It's so funny. And then it comes up, and Gavin's like, "I tried."
Yeah, very good.
Fantastic. Well, the other thing about this is that again, we might be seeing some of our other antagonists come back again soon. Quick question for the table here: is there another antagonist that you want to see come back? Is there a new big bad that you want to see created? Alec, is Valgavoth your answer there? You're repping them already.
Yes.
Do you want to see more of them?
Oh yeah. I think Valgavoth is a really interesting kind of evil presence at a very large scale that seems really cool. The other person that I do think deserves a really solid villain arc is Vraska. If you read the Tarkir story, Vraska had a pretty dramatic exit from her relationship with Jace, it seems. And yeah, I think it's time for a solid Vraska villain arc.
Oh, Bobbie-Christine, that sounds like news to you.
That was news to me. I didn't know Vraska dipped out. It's just, I'd love to see your third. I was thinking, are Soren and Nahiri still very angry at each other? Because if they never settled that, I think it would be very funny if their senseless feud grew to a point where it became like a huge problem for everybody. Soren and Nahiri like not chilling out.
Which is all the more interesting because Nahiri was desparked, but Soren still has his spark.
That's
too.
right.
So would be very interesting to see that, like the maximum power of an unsparked character versus the sparked planeswalker.
Soren's just like no, like planeswalking on either side of her, just like repeatedly. She's swinging the stone blades,
like fighting Nightcrawler and having a bamf from one side to the other, something like that.
Yeah, a lot of the villains that I like in Magic, and a lot of the villains I like in general, you know, there are three main types of villains. There are villains that are straight up villains. Their job is to lose. You can't deal. There's no way to deal with them other than to get rid of them. And I like that. I like the honesty that we have with ourselves on that from that standpoint. I also like villains that are compelling and have a point and that persist, perhaps. And I also like villains that have a long tail that maybe we grow and we shift and we change. I like all of those. I think that those are all excellent options. I am a little tired of long-tailed villains. I want some more long-term, short-term villains, like Xenagos. Xenagos was a great villain, and was a villain for one time, and now he's gone. I love that. I think that we need more of that. And so I would love for there to be another short-term villain. If Valgavoth gets a longer tail, awesome. But I would love for there to be more villains who show up. They're bad guys on their plane. They've got a villainous agenda, and then they're defeated, and we can all go home. I don't need everything to be a cinematic universe.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair too. We do need the one-shot episodes as opposed to the serialized in this game. I think that a good balance of that is perfectly fair as well. All right. Before we jump into some of our... Oh, Clay, something to add?
Sorry, real quick. One, I wanted to say that Ruben just put one of my long-term held beliefs in a much better way than I have ever accomplished on successive roundtables about appreciating the palette cleanser, the one shot. Just like, give me a new place. There's the local bad. We go in, we tell a story, we get out. I like that. Love that so much. Appreciate that. I'm stealing that and I'm taking that going forward. The villain that came to mind when you initiated the question was, have we ever found out what Kasmina is doing and who she is working with, like from like
No.
Strixhaven and recruiting of plans and doing like, right? She's on Strixhaven. They're like not farming sparks, but they're scouting potential planeswalkers. And there's all these like illusions. She's doing something. She's up to something. Is that good? Is that bad? I think that could be a really cool like secret society type behind the scenes manipulating. And now that with the Omen Pass, their like network could expand and to be pulling strings, not in the full scale invasion way, but in the like slow, subtle, like machinations in which we see evil and bad things take place in institutions like that. I feel like it would be a lot harder to show as a story in the card game, but I think that would be a really cool story.
I agree, and I think we're coming up on 5 or 6 years from Strixhaven as well, so we might see a return to Strixhaven coming soon. We might see Kasmina return as well, especially now that the Omen paths are open. I'd imagine a college like Strixhaven is significantly more popular across the multiverse, and would love to see what the open Omen paths have done to a plane like that. And I think a villain for that arc, Kasmina, I think it's already set. Table's already set.
It.
Clay?
I'm sorry, I just all of a sudden got the idea of students from all over the multiverse being able to enroll at Strixhaven, and like what that does to the like student and like school dynamics when you have like Jeskai mages, and like do they still work with Prismari, like, or do they like do they touch on Lorehold, like mages from Kamigawa, like that? The implications of that, I'm just like,
I'm so intrigued.
Exactly. The potential is limitless right now. I can't wait to see it. And I think the opening of the Omen Pass has been something great for Magic story, and something that's really helps build the universe into something cohesive too. So would love to see it. So before we jump into some of our mechanical questions up next, I do want to remind everybody in the audience, we are still raising donations for the Trevor Project. Hit command donate in chat just like that, and donate in $5 increments to be entered into the draw for prizes at the end of today's session, ranging from Infinite Tokens prize packs through to precons from Dragonstorm. $5 increments gets you into the draw, so do that. We are also going to be doing a Q&A at the end of today's session too, so make sure to highlight your questions in chat with the ask a question point redemption in Twitch, so that we know that you've asked a question and we can get to it. Speaking of getting to it, I want to dive into some of our set related mechanics questions now. At the outset, one of the things that we talked about with Tarkir as a plane is it's many people's first 3-color plane. A lot of us have had experience with 2-color planes, especially with so many visits to Ravnica, but some of us might not have been playing around the original 3-color planes. For modern players, Tarkir is the first 3-color plane that you've been to. Is it refreshing to get another 3-color balanced set? Once again, are you looking forward to that? And for anybody that's a commander player like me, does having a 3-color set like this push you towards building 3-color commanders, where you might be more comfortable building 1 or 2-color commanders up to a point like this? Bobbie-Christine, as another infamous commander brewer, let me know, is this really getting the engines running in terms of focusing on 3-color?
Yeah, I'm on your page. I am averse to too many color decks because they are a little more difficult to brew as far as bringing the land bases and all the pieces together. But Capenna did magic for 3-color decks. Tarkir, the original Tarkir, did wonders for 3-color decks. In that sense, and with my bias as a commander player through and through, these are essential to me. And they like in my head, they must come every once in a while. So I'm super hyped on it. I saw Nerev and I was like, reminded of my Mardu spirit, and I literally just like, I'm like, I have to cook this deck. I cooked up a narrative deck on Moxfield like real fast, and so they're essential. I see them as completely essential, and I'm relieved when they come by.
Amazing, amazing. Clay, how do you feel about 3-color sets like this?
So I am like infamously a like 3-color minimum girly when I'm brewing decks. Like I want to be 4 or 5. I understand that it's not great for like meta game or deck divert. Like I get it, but like I wish we got more 4 and 5 color commanders. But with that said, 3 is kind of feels like that sweet spot where you're like not provoking that wrath of people. There are still some limitations to your cards that you can select, but you have access to so many cards depending on what you want to do. And so, like, I haven't really brewed a deck in a little while, but with the Tarkir spoilers, I'm working on. I have basically looking to do like proxy a 5 deck like set, 1 for each clan, that can then be taken to places. Kind of like not pre-cons because they're not that consistent or that like stable, but leaning into the mechanics, 1 for each of the new cons. And so like, I guess to answer your question, I haven't felt that kind of deck building inspiration in a long time. And now all of a sudden I'm sitting here with like 5 80% decks going like, where did this come from? So
Very nice. Very nice. Alec, how do you feel about the 3-color set structure here? Does this get some of the gears turning in terms of deck building, in terms of brewing? And how do you feel about 3-color sets over 2-color sets that we typically see more of?
Yeah, something I'm always advocating for in Commander is monocolored decks. I really think people should play more monocolored decks. I'm always saying this, and I think it's great for many, many reasons, and I really like restrictions on Commander, and that's part of the reason why I go that direction more than 3+ color decks. And I think the thing that's cool about this point we've reached now with Tarkir Dragonstorm is there are finally options for 3-color commanders and strategies that are more than just like, I love Muldrotha as much as the next Sultai guy, but I gotta admit that strategy it's like very straightforward, and it could be spicier. Like it just could be spicier. So yeah, one example I want to throw in here is Taval, Arbiter of Virtue, is a new Sultai commander that I just think is chef's kiss, and it's just so much more interesting to me.
Marge hold on the table. I just think it's
oh, so good. Like that's incredible, and that's exactly what I want out of a 3-color commanders. Something that gets me brewing, something that has cool ideas, and maybe isn't just a pile of the best of those 3 colors. So a little de-optimized, if that makes sense. But that's more what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Ruben, how do you feel about these 3-color sets, and what kind of implication do they have for other constructed formats as well?
Yeah, I hadn't even considered the fact that this was the first 3-color set that we'd had in a while. Since War of the Spark, I guess, since the most recent Nicol Bolas arc. It's much better for Commander than it is for other sets, or for other formats, I should say. Standard very often is a 3-color, you play 3-color decks. Even older formats, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, you play more than those colors. But you don't oftentimes play cards that are more than 2 colors. It's very difficult to break into those older formats. And so typically the only thing that matters, it doesn't matter how many colors it is, it matters how much mana any given thing is. And so as it pertains to the older formats, there you go. As it pertains to Standard, I'm just excited to have I'm hoping, a change. Every time a new Standard thing comes in, I want there to be a change. I want the latest set to take over. And I think that has happened about half the time. And I really like it when a new set can come in and dethrone whatever is currently the best. Right now, the best is a mouse. There's a mouse that sits at the top of the metagame, and I'm hoping that the dragons can dethrone the mouse. A mouse who gets real mad and becomes monstrous with rage. And I think that there's a possibility of that happening. We've got some good removal. We've got some good follow-ups. We've got some cards that are good 2-for-1s in this set that match up well with Heartfire Hero and Manifold Mouse and Monstrous Rage. Not to mention Zur and the Overlords band, whatever's happening in that deck. I think that there is lots of fun tools that could create something new and exciting.
Fantastic. Clay, something to add there?
I'm so sorry. My dog just burst in just because I had my door barricaded so that the cat couldn't force his way in. But 12-pound cat is one thing. The 70-pound dog is another thing. This is definitely
the two of them teamed up to
probably
break the door down.
I was just going to say on the Manifold Mouse, that deck, it's one of the clearest things for me that my card evaluation and ability to think about formats like Standard, just because I have played so little of them, that when Bloomburrow came out, if you had been this is going to be a card, that I would have been in what world would that have happened? There's no way. So it's just funny.
I saw those mice and I was like, that's a bulk rare.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but Alec, in your picks there, you mentioned Teval, who has Delve on it, which is one of the only instances of a returning past Tarkir mechanic in this set. I think we saw Delve and Prowess as being the only returning mechanics for this set. Apart from that, we have Mobilize, Omen, Harmonize, Endure, and Renew as 5 new mechanics in this set. It seems that we're seeing Wizards seed some old mechanics in newer sets on 1 or 2 cards. Once again, how do we feel about this? And do we feel that these, in addition to 5 new mechanics, is a little too much for a set? Or is it welcome to see these peak and pop up on 1 or 2 more cards? Ruben, what do you think about seeing some of these new mechanics and old mechanics?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of putting the stuff you've made, regardless of whether it lives on this plane, in the sets you make. Magic cards, math is math. Magic cards is magic cards. There's a card with Decayed in this set.
Yeah.
There's some stuff it's weird that we can do. So I am happy to see the return of a one-off Delve card, a couple off Prowess cards, a one-off Decayed card. There's some really interesting things that they did with what they added that makes sense in the world. I don't think that these one-offs detract in any way. I think, in fact, it makes them feel more like Magic sets. And so I'm excited for more like this, for sure. I think that it's perfectly fine to focus on these 5 new abilities. They're very exciting. They also tie in nicely and thematically with the previous abilities. Ferocious and Harmonize, both teamer abilities, both encourage you to have big creatures. Perfect. Wonderful. I love what we've done with the place. So, and that's the same way with all of the clans. So it feels tied in, even if they are quote unquote new.
I think that's a fantastic point as well. Some of these are sides of the same coin for these set mechanics, and I think that they do play really well together. And going back to our point about the Omen paths being open, it does make a lot of sense for mechanics from other planes or that lived on other planes to appear on 1 or 2 OVs in the occasional set. I think that it just makes the overall magical mechanic universe seem a little bit more cohesive.
For sure.
Alec, how do you feel about these mechanics, returning mechanics, new mechanics? Like seeing them, or is it a little too much for a set?
No, I love it. I think something I am always saying is that Magic players are some of the smartest people that you'll meet. And I know I love making fun of the complexity creep as well. And it's funny when a card has 80 lines of rules text. But if there's anyone that can handle that, it's Magic players. So I'm really not worried about the complexity. And I think they hit it. It's like a really nice balance with Tarkir Dragonstorm. You were talking about comparing the new mechanics to the old clan mechanics, and something I think is really cool is kind of like flavor wise, each clan had lost a color from the new timeline from the Dragon Lords, and then they regained that color back when they became a clan again.
Right.
So yeah, and I think that is shown in these mechanics really well, the like flavor of it. Like Teamer, for example, had a very like creature centric, ferocious. It's like the powers matter mechanic before, but now it's way more blue. It's like casting spells out of your graveyard. Way super blue, and I think that is something that's really cool to see, that it's like a twist on that color combination that's different from last time, but it still kind of calls back to it, and I really like that.
Yeah, and that missing color is a big emphasis on each of the clans this time around, is that Teamer losing blue from Fate Reforged and going just into Gruul red green, and now regaining the blue is very heavy blue in this
Right.
set, which is a great way to
Yeah.
see it, as now it's very much spell casting as opposed to just big creatures, but does use big creatures as a way to fuel that spell casting. You also mentioned the complexity on some of the rules, and I think that's great that we have Mammoth Bellow up right now, a card that normally would have a line and a half of text on it, but has 4 or 5 lines of rules text on
Yeah.
it to explain what that mechanic is. I think that just really highlights the complexity of some of these mechanics. Bobbie-Christine, what do you think about the returning mechanics, the new mechanics? Is it all too much for a set, or is it refreshing to see?
As far as returning, they picked the 2 cleanest, purest, most like magic ones. It's nice to see Ferocious at Delve again, but I kind of have a feeling of this like I would if they rebooted, just like anything. If you're gonna kind of do a run it back, a reboot, a 10 years later kind of thing, I think it's essential to have a reason for this to be different from the previous. So them each getting their own mechanic makes absolute sense, and those mechanics being callbacks rather than duplications is super important. It's of course it's Tarkir, but it should stand on its own, and I think the having a set mechanic for each client is super sweet way to do it.
Yeah, especially new mechanics for each clan as well shows that we are not on the same Tarkir, or we are not the exact same as the last time. It shows the evolution of the clans and the evolution of the story overall. I think if we had 1 or 2 clans that had the exact same mechanics and only those mechanics would show a lack of growth, which I think is the antithesis of what this entire set is showing the growth of the clan. Great. Clay, how do you... Oh, I knocked... Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Well, we'll carry on with the 4 of us then. Thanks as always to Clay. Be sure to find Clay everywhere you can find them on their socials. MTG Claybee. Make sure to give them a shout out when you see them next. The always delightful Claybee. Now, the other thing about the mechanics on the set is that we didn't see a lot of the returning mechanics. We saw 1 or 2 of them, but of the previous mechanics, are there any that you would like to see return, since they didn't return in this set, in maybe future sets as a 1 or 2 off? And these are mechanics like Outlast or Bolster, Dash or Raid, Exploit, Ferocious, or Formidable are some of the ones from the previous sets. And those are, of course, things like Power Matters or temporary creatures coming into play in order to attack and bounce back to your hand. Mechanics like that. Bobbie-Christine, anything you'd like to see?
Bring back Outlast and power creep the hell out of it. Like Outlast is like cool in concept, but it's just feels so slow. You can only do it the one time. They brought mechanics they brought back that they power crept. Cloak or Morph was with the one from Murder of Markov Manor. That one's it's like a better cloak. Or morph. It's a better morph. And I feel I just had one at the top of my tongue that they brought back that was just like bestow. They didn't change bestow, but they power crept the heck out of it in Modern Horizons 3. So bring me back Outlast and give me a reason to actually like want to use that Outlast ability.
Yeah, I think they iterated on something like bestow with the reconfigure mechanic as well, putting it on artifacts rather than enchantments, letting you choose whether you want to cast it and then equip it rather than just having to bestow it and then it falling off if that creature died, those kind of things. So I think an iteration on that mechanic would definitely be beneficial, especially because, as many are pointing out in chat, yes, the sorcery speed limitation on Outlast absolutely kills it as a viable mechanic. There, it's a if you have nothing better to do this. It's never a plan A, right? Alec, any of these previous mechanics you'd like to see return in some form or function in the future?
Yeah, I think the main one for me, I 100% agree with Bobbie-Christine, is Outlast. I think that one, if it didn't require the creature to tap, that was always my problem, is I'm putting +1/+1s on this cool creature, but it's always tapped because of it, so I can't use it for anything. If it was like the same without having to tap, I think there's something there, even if it's only once per turn or restricted in some other way. Yeah, I think a power crept Outlast is the best. The other mechanic that I loved at the time and I think plays really well is Raid. But I will say I think Raid fits better in a pirate context a lot more appropriately than it did in the previous Tarkir context. So I understand why that was not brought back, but I think if they gave it maybe a more appropriate name but had the mechanic the same, Raid is one of my favorite mechanics for Commander, for Draft, for every format. It's always fun to attack people. So yeah, those are my two thoughts.
Encouraging attacking in any format is always healthy. Always healthy. Ruben, what do you think? Any of these mechanics you want to see return?
Yeah, Raid would be my vote. Raid is just so simple, so clean. It encourages good magic. It encourages the games to move forward. It's very easy as a new player to want to sit back and rest and, not press the action. That is a common thread. I think that Prowess obviously comes back and is deciduous every once in a while. I think that Ferocious could have its time in the sun also. It's real easy to make work. It's real easy to understand. I think that all of those are good options.
Yeah, and I agree entirely. There are a lot of those mechanics from classic Tarkir that we can see crop up in future sets. We've seen some Raid return. Again, it is a great one. Again, Chris called out in chat as well. It's a great teaching mechanic as well, teaching people to attack and then cast spells. There are a lot of things like Ferocious that let you count your power across creatures to get a benefit, encourages you to develop a board state and then do something. I think all of these are great mechanics that we could see in base level sets like we have in Foundations coming up in the future, and I would love to see it. Bobbie-Christine, something to add?
I don't know what technically makes something a mechanic to where they categorize it as evergreen, but Ferocious, Raid, and Prowess are like, in my head, those might as well. Those are just evergreen in my head. Like, you could just bring those back if it happens to work in a great design way for any set, I feel like. And if there's like a categorization of like what makes something evergreen, we should consider all three of those for sure.
Yeah, and they've mentioned that Prowess is, if not evergreen, deciduous, like Ruben mentioned. So it crops up in sets all the time, which is great. But like Raid coming back once in a while, again, considered something like deciduous there too. Evergreen would be like Trample, where you're going to see it in every set. It is new baseline there. But I agree. All of those mechanics are definitely things that should be built into core Magic, and they can be functional and appropriate in any power level set or teaching set. which would be great to see. I think the original Tarkir was fantastic from a design standpoint and has some far-reaching influence to this day, which is great. Moving on from mechanics, I want to move on to some of our favorite art in the set right now as well. First, touching on some of the alternate art and border treatments in the set. Always a big fan of some of the borders and treatments like the draconic frames in this set, which look amazing in the Surge foil treatment for them. Absolutely stunning. There's also the clan showcases, which are like the blackout art treatments for some of these cards too, like Anafenza shown on screen now. And then there's the Ghost Fire showcases as well. I think that these are some of the strongest showcase frames we've seen in a single set in a long time. What do we think out there? Ruben, looks like you are agreeing.
I mean, yeah, I think that this set is, I think, my favorite overall border treatments that they've ever done. Yeah, I think that that's the absolute home run from every step of the way. Having only one serialized headliner old border Mox Jasper, brilliant. I love having only one thing. I think that that's a great way to do stuff. The Draconic showcase borders might be my favorite borders ever. I really like the storybook borders from Eldraine as well. But these might take the cake on top of that. I really like the borderless clan showcase stuff where you have the clan symbol behind the close-up for a lot of these clan centric characters and clan centric cards. It's just a home run all the way around with all of these borders. I think that, and also they did the dragon scale foils, which are also great and look wonderful. Not to mention the borderless stuff all looks good as usual. The Ghost Fire foils, I don't know if you've seen one of them yet, but they pop really nice. And they feel really good to like have on the board. They've got really good table presence, as we say in the board game design space. So I really like all of them. There's not a weak link in the bunch. I know there's a bunch of memes out there about the Dragon Eye lands, but I also like the Dragon Eye lands. I just think that this is the strongest. They've really narrowed down what people want out of an alternate art and figured out how to put that in the packs.
100% agreed from my end. Alec, what do you feel about it?
Yeah, same. I totally agree. I think I have gone through a few phases over my Magic career where I was obsessed with alternate frames and borderless cards, and then it became too much for me, and I kind of went all the way back. I was like, I'll just play the standard vanilla version because I like when my deck looks cohesive and it's not just a bunch of different frames all in the same deck. But yeah, I think we've come back to where the designs for this set's alternate frames have a better balance of like readability and accessibility. Like the cards where the whole bottom half is black and it has like the clan background are so easy to read. Like I can read that across the table. If you gave me a card with the similar type of treatment from a set 2 years ago, it's like I can't even read that from where I'm sitting. So yeah, I think this is perfect. Like that's exactly what I want. I want the text to be easy to read. I want it to be but still look good, like still be aesthetic. And I think they hit the nail on the head with this set.
Absolutely. I think, to echo your point, the high contrast here of the white text on the solid black background for someone like me whose eyes are fading right now, being able to see this and read this across the table easily, big plus. Absolutely love it. I think Grand Slam.
For the pop-up, can we get the Mardu Battle Chicken? Of the
Mardu Siegebreaker.
Siegebreaker. That guy. Look how big that bird friend is.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the card in general, but that guy in the front, he's coming at you, and I love it so much.
Yeah, the Siegebreaker is not the rider. The Siegebreaker is the bird.
Right.
Bobbie-Christine, how do you feel about these treatments in this set?
my my brain needs to process the heavily black ones. I need to hold one in my hand, I think, to understand those. I'm not against them, but while I'm building on a deck on the internet, I'm like, I don't know, it just feels too different. But I feel like I'll probably change my mind when I can actually hold one. The one, like, if I could, I also know that if I get to hold a Halo foil ghost fire in my hand,
Yeah.
I'm gonna my monkey brain's just gonna start popping off, like
For sure.
like it'll be like shiny, just right. I really want to like feel a one of those Halo foil ghost fire cards. I'm really excited about those. And I don't want to shout out the wrong person, but I think Justine Jones did the dragon border. I hope I get that right, but either way, that dragon border is iconic. Like it's one you can see them.
Yeah.
Like they had secret layers that were like calling forward some borders in the past, and this one is just so right. It fits in the echelon of the best of them. I really it's not like pulling your eye away at all, and yet it's so busy. The fact that it can be so busy, have so much dragon going on, but not take away from what's happening in the art is very, very impressive to me.
Also, no confusion about the color identity on cards in
Yes,
these dragon
absolutely.
scale cards either. Again, with the Ghost Fire and with the Clan Spotlight cards, there can be some confusion about the color identity of those cards. These dragon scale ones, easy to tell. At a glance, there is no confusion about it. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. They did tease us with the dragon scale frames with the multiversal heroes from All Will Be One as well. So we saw, I think, Sarkin and Narset in these treatments last year too. So we got a little bit of a sneak
These were
peek
one of those. That's cool.
at this. So I think seeing it on more cards like this, absolutely fantastic. Another great treatment. Alex, something to add?
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to stick on the point that you had about the color, mistaking the color identity, because as far as I can tell, this is one of the first, the Draconic frame is one of the first ones that has the actual color of the frame is like totally different, but based on the color. And I'm trying to pull up a good example of one of the dragons where the omen part is a different color of a casting cost, because those ones look really, really good in the Draconic frame.
Because the entire background of the text box of the omen is a different color. Like it's very easy to tell.
Sick.
Runescale Stormbrood, perfect example. It has the Draconic border, the smaller one that's the different color. And I just think it's not just pretty and aesthetic, it also like builds the mechanics of what colors you're playing, and I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it is a great mix of form and function here. Fantastic point. All right. Now, one thing that we are seeing missing from this set is this is the first set in years where we do not have widescreen treatments. That is, no extended art treatments for the first time in years. I'm a big fan of this treatment. I like it. It's nice. It's simple. It uses the classic frames, gives us a little bit more art. But some people, it seems like Alec, are not a fan of these treatments. What do we feel about them not being included in this set, or seemingly in any sets moving forward? Alec, 3 cheers for that one.
I really try not to be a hater. I think everyone likes what they like. But if I never saw another extended art card again, I would be okay with that. It's just the thing that gets me is the type line for those is always white text, and all of the rest of the card is black text. And on some cards where the art is lighter, it's like some of the text you can't read as well. So I just have accessibility issues, and I think it looks really good for some cards, and I think it looks really bad for other cards. So I'm a little bit of a hater of those, and when I saw that they were replacing that with these other cool frames we just talked about for Tarkir Dragonstorm, I was pretty happy.
Nice. Bobbie-Christine, what do you think about losing these widescreen extended arts?
I think they were exciting when they were new and a novelty, and with the options and with the artists and with the new borders and with just like everything we've learned about what Magic cards can look and be like, we're just past it. So I think they nailed it. I do think we're beyond, whoa, what if it was bigger? Like,
Right.
you know, and at a time when we didn't have anything like that, we were like, oh, bigger, oh my
Sure.
gosh, it's bigger. But we're past that now, and I'm hyped that they're also past that.
Yeah, I think it's okay to grow and change. You know, we all dyed our hair in high school. We all, you know, wore different clothes when we were younger. It's okay to like something for a little while and then it goes out of style. The borderless cards we have in this set are alternate art borderless cards, and they make perfect sense. And I like what they're doing. I also am fine. I mean, I didn't notice that we didn't have these borderless, that we didn't have straight up borderless cards. So if that tells you anything, I think we're okay.
100.
Fantastic. Now, there is one other kind of art treatment in this set, and that is the baby dragon arts in this set. How many of us are going to be using the cute side of these cards as opposed to the ferocious side of these cards? I'm definitely using the cute side of some of these. They look fantastic. I really like this. I think that is a cute gimmick. Bobbie-Christine?
I missed out on the baby secret lair, but the next Magic Con I go to, I love hitting the vendors. The first thing I'm trading cards for is gonna be baby Dragon Lord of Tarka. I just need just a little baby Dragon Lord of Tarka. So it's simple. I want it. I want the little baby. I'm never gonna play the big side. It's gonna be adorable. And it's going to be an 8/8 trampling dragon for some reason.
Oh, amazing. Ruben, what do you think about the art here, the full-size dragon versus the baby dragons in the set?
Yeah, I'm not as big on these. But again, it's a vaudeville act. Everyone can enjoy what they want. I like this Guggen looks like he's a gecko almost. I don't get it as much, but also not everything has to be for everyone.
Great. No, fantastic point. Alec, what do you think about the reversible card arts, the big side versus the baby side?
Yeah, I love this for the three of us because I have absolutely no opinion on this. I'm totally neutral.
Perfect.
I think the one thing I do think is fun is they're all dragons, right? So it's like something that's talked about a lot in Magic is it's hard to have dragon decks built because they're all huge creatures, high CMCs, and I know the Magic designers at Wizards also have talked about how it's difficult to design dragon sets because you need low CMC creatures to make the set function. So I think this is kind of a funny, just like a little joke about that, where it's like, see, the dragons can be they were babies at one point.
That's
Unless
what I
they came
like.
from a dragon storm, but
I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was canonical that those babies hatched, and they absolutely at some point in history were just tiny little guys.
Oh, fantastic. Well, how about some of our favorite arts in the set then? We talked about some of the frames and some of the treatments, but how about some of our favorite arts? A lot of these dragon arts go hard, but do you have any favorites? Ruben, anything jumping out to you as favorite arts in the set?
I mean, Battle Chicken is, I said it already. I love the Battle Chicken. I think it's the best art in the set. It makes me feel something. All of the Dragonstorm cards, all of those uncommon enchantments of that cycle feel really evocative and tell the story of what we want to be doing here. It's a big deal what this uncommon cycle is saying. And I think that's an important facet of having a sort of central cycle within the set to tell the story of what's going on. So I would say that those are probably my instant first picks.
Very cool. Alec, how about you? Any favorite arts here in the set?
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of really beautiful art in this set. And this was my preview card, so I might be biased, but I've literally been staring at this card for the last month, and it's Lotus Light Dancers, just the like standard frame one. And the reason why I like it so much is original Khans of Tarkir, the Sultai, were kind of just evil. They didn't really have much of a personality. Their flavor was they have zombies that they mistreat, and they're evil, and that was kind of their whole deal, which I like that kind of thing.
Exploit was their mechanic. I mean, you don't get much more evil than that, right?
Yeah, and it showed in their cards and mechanics, and the art is all very dark and grim. So I really like this kind of refreshing take on this color combination where you have this zombie bard that is dancing, and like this dance is putting things, it's still dealing with the graveyard, it still feels thematic, but it's like a beautiful kind of change of that that type of flavor for the clan. So yeah, I like this one a lot.
Awesome. This was also the second set in a row where we've seen zombies get some autonomy, between seeing Amonkhet in the last set in Aether Drift and how they're treating zombies as equals on the plane, to now seeing how the Sultai are fairly treating zombies as part of the clan as well. I think that this is an interesting trend in Magic and Magic storytelling in the sets, where zombies have equal rights as opposed to being seen as disposable slaves, that kind of thing that we've seen in previous sets, especially on planes like Innistrad. I think we had a great conversation, the C&C team and I, about what happens when zombies from planes where they have autonomy meet up with zombies from planes where they don't. And you start seeing this revolution in terms of the zombie revolt rising up.
Rise up, my dead brothers.
Rise up, my dead brethren.
That's right. Yes. I mean, a lot, and I mentioned this in my episode of the News and Ink. Check out the News and Ink. I am a very, I don't want to get too political. I'm an anarcho-communist who constantly wants to see power toppled. And this set is living my dream. Like, we get to take our autocratic rulers and overthrow them with the power of friendship and teamwork. And it with our spiritual ancestors guiding us in much the same way that perhaps our founding fathers could. And it makes me feel warm inside, and it's hard to see other people living your dream.
Amen.
Bobbie-Christine, any favorite arts in the set?
Okay, I got the preview. Me and Alec, I hear you, Alec. I got the preview card bias, but this, I feel unbelievably lucky to have previewed Parination. Eli Manaya did a few arts, and I now realize, looking over the Scryfall page of Eli Manaya's art, that these are like some of my favorite. They're just so beautiful. I love the abstract. It's kind of the feeling that Richard Kane Ferguson art gives me. And just looking at the art on Parination, like, gives me emotion. It like gives me feeling. It's just so striking, and there's you can't just look at it and know. You got to kind of like sink your eyes into it and see that there's this entity growing and coming back, and I'm just so biased on this, and this is the kind of thing, like, I have an art wall over here. It would be just a dream to have Parination on my art wall. So shout out to Eli Manaya for sure.
Amazing. Ruben, something to add?
Yeah, I will actually shout out one of the borderless cards, even though it's the new style, it's a new art. All the sieges. I really think it's interesting what they did with the sieges in the set, where we have these sort of battle plan maps like you might see in Game of Thrones, as sort of our siege art. And I think that's great.
So cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great take on these sieges, and it's great to see sieges return from original Tarkir to new Tarkir with a new twist on them too, especially as opposed to the choice between Khans or dragons, now choosing the missing color from these two color sieges. I think beautiful design choice here. Absolutely fantastic overall. Alec, you have something to add as well?
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the siege cycle. I think I really like when a set does cycles with kind of like themed art like that. And there are a bunch in this set. I was going to add that Bobbie-Christine, I don't think you're biased at all. There's a cycle
It's
of
unbelievable.
so good. There's a cycle of mythic rare like spells basically for each of the clans. Paranation is the Abzan one, and
New Way Forward
Death,
is one.
yeah, Death Begets Life is the Sultai one, and they all just like I want all of them as prints on my wall. Like they're all incredible.
Yeah, they look fantastic. Both the regular arts for them and the alt treatment arts for them are all absolutely incredible. I think the entire art team did a stellar job this set for sure.
Sorry, I just saw that Eli Mania did Rise of the Eldrazi. I just okay, I will digress.
Oh, amazing. Well,
I'm going to also quickly shout out both of the new reprints of Craterhoof. Look more like more like a beast that has hooves, which I appreciate. Both, well, I mean, I guess all three. There's a ghost fire, there's a clan border, and then there's the pack foil. And they all look like mammoths or beasts that might actually have hooves. Not that I don't love the old Craterhoof behemoth from Avacyn Restored, but that looks like it has paws.
It does.
This looks like it has hooves.
I think original Craterhoof looks like a giant frog and would have big webbed feet.
Also
as
good.
Opposed to hooves. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate the giant mammoth art here. Very clear art direction in this one that says, hey, this is a big elephant. Thank you very much.
Oh, and especially because Teamer is 5/5 elephant tokens all over the place. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. For sure. Well, before we get into our absolutely favorite cards from the set and what we're looking forward to building, and then our Q&A, I do want to give everybody a last call for donations to get into the draw. Do hit Command Donate in chat. This is your last chance to donate in $5 increments to be entered into the draw for the end of today's session. We are just about at the $200 mark for donations as well. Thank you all very much for being very generous tonight. Let's see if we can push towards our $300 goal as well. This is all going to the Trevor Project, so please give generously. This is also last call for Q&A too. If you've got any questions to ask while we're going through some of our favorite cards of the set, now's the chance to get it in chat. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is it. This is everybody's favorite part. Let's gush about some of your favorite cards from the set. Not just favorite art. What are you looking forward to playing? What are you looking forward to brewing? What do you think is going to have impacts on other formats? Would love to hear from everybody. What are your favorites from this set? I'll lead off by saying I am so grateful that we have 2 new even mana value clones from this set, because I love doing clones, and this gets us even closer to Gyruda's magical number here for my favorite commander deck ever. But I also really love the callback to Siege Rhino with Skirmish Rhino in this set. Love seeing some of these callbacks, and that is one that some people absolutely groaned when they saw as well. Oh, did we need another Siege Rhino here? I think that this one's still fantastic to see. You can't have a Tarkir set without a Rhino, in my opinion. Bobbie-Christine, what are you looking forward to playing, building? What are your favorites?
Favorites, the mythic rares tend to have the most oomph. And in that sense, I've already called out Paranation and Nerev. The Nerev from the set I like a little more even. I like the pull out to like see more of Nerev, and the Paranation, like I said, just pulls me right in. I do want to shout out card-wise something I'm extremely excited about, and something that makes me want to rebuild a deck, actually. I once upon a time had a mono blue dragons deck. Just utilizing and trying to make mono blue dragons shine, because there's something I really don't know how to explain it, but there's something so special to me about a mono blue dragon. And this set has 4, 5, 6, 7 brand new mono blue dragons.
Nice.
And I'm like, I feel like, do I gotta bring it back? Do I just gotta get these beautiful blue dragons back into rotation? So shout out to the Voracious Bibliophile, Transcendent Dragon, Hammerhead Tyrant, Diviner of the Mist, Deceptive Frostkite, Meringue River Regent, and the Dagger Island Dragon. Mono blue dragons for life. I'm just happy to see them.
Very nice. Yeah, and I think Carson called it out in chat as well. Dana Roach of EDH Recast loves his non-red dragon decks and has a couple of them at this point, and he is eating good this set too, especially when it comes to green dragons too. This is the first time in a long time, I think, since the Kamigawa sets where we see mono green dragons, which is always fantastic to see. Love seeing it. Alec, how about you? How about some of your favorites from the set? Anything that you're looking forward to playing with, brewing around, anything that you think is going to have an impact?
Yes. Yeah, I have 2 cards I would love to talk about. The first one is Rot Curse Rakshasa.
Yep.
And I love this for a couple different reasons. The main one is that if I can get away with putting the veggies of my commander deck, the removal, card draw, mana ramp, into something cooler, spicier, a little more synergistic perhaps, then that just feels so good to me. And this is like essentially acting as a board wipe in a lot of ways, but it also can be a finisher because decayed creatures can't block. So if you have a big enough board and you're ready to go, you exile this out of your graveyard and they can't block your stuff. And that's the other thing. I play a lot of graveyard decks. I'm always wanting stuff in there that I can utilize somehow. Like I love flashback and that kind of thing. And this is another twist on that.
Being a 2/5 trampler, or sorry, a 5/5 trampler for 2 mana is also very good. It can't block, sure.
There's a lot of decks that want that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to keep shouting out the battle chicken, but attacking for 9 seems good.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, and I think this is just going to be a card that a lot of people will play and will want to play, and I'm one of them. The other card that this surprised me because it's something I would not have expected from this set, but it's Tursa Light Shatter. It is in a set full of 3-color legends. We randomly have this Mardu mono red legend. So I'll do a little monocolor spotlight here, but yeah, I think this is a really cool design for a monocolored commander deck that is in red, but it cares about what's in your graveyard. And I think that's something we haven't really seen before in mono red. So yeah, this is something I'm really interested in building because it's very restricted, but it's like a new twist from red.
Absolutely. I love seeing it. Great call outs there as well. Ruben, I think you've made it clear Mardu Siegebreaker is one of the top on your list.
I think that a 4/4 for 4 haste death touch that lets you blink over and over again is very good. I really want to focus, guys. We have to hope and pray that the exhales are the business in standard. We have to hope and pray that specifically Molten Exhale and Caustic Exhale save us, I think. Because I think that they are the reason to play dragons in a standard deck. Are the exhales, are the early game where you can reveal them and get really insane value. 4 damage to a creature at instant speed is incredible. 1 mana -3/3 with no drawback other than I have a dragon in my hand is incredible. All 5 of them are very, very, very good. I just am hoping and praying that they are good enough.
This same cycle from the original Tarkir set, or the equivalent cycle from the original Tarkir, saw standard play as well. The Behold set here. So I'm hopeful as well that this makes it good enough to have us play some of these dragons, especially some of these lower costed dragons. Like we have 3 mana dragons in the set. There's no reason why they aren't going to see play in the set too.
Dragons should be melting those little mice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll also shout out a card that just makes me happy. I love it when Magic calls back, particularly because we have a really Magic-centric Magic deck set, and we have a lot of hearkening back to previous cards. But I was not expecting a callback to Stronghold with Unending Whisper. Unending Whisper is a 1-mana blue draw card that harmonizes for 5 and a blue. If you've been playing Magic as long as I have, that's a shout out to Whispers of the Muse, which was very similar. Not nearly, it was slightly better, obviously, but it's got the same word on it. It's got the same numbers on it, and it just makes me happy.
Absolutely.
So that's a quick shout out. I just love that card.
Fantastic. Any others you're looking forward to playing, seeing an impact?
Me?
Yes.
I mean, I think that there's a lot to be excited about in the new set. I think that there are many possibilities for changed strategies and different directions that different archetypes can take in the new set. When I'm looking at a new set, I'm usually looking for either really, really low-costed cards or X spells. And I think that the new finale of Devastation, Nature's Rhythm, is absolutely going to have an impact somewhere, probably in an Elves deck, which I love an Elves deck. And I also think that Dragonfire Blade has a high likelihood of seeing an impact somewhere, whether that's in Commander or in a constructed format remains to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that one in any commander deck where your commander is 3 or more colors. I think that it's just a free pump for a commander that's multiple colors, giving them hexproof from monocolor, icing on the cake.
For sure.
I want to shout out 2 more cards as well that I think are going to see a bit more of an impact, especially in commander. On the higher power level scale of things are 2 new white stacks pieces in this set as well, in Voice of Victory, which is another great one. Opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Hey, guess what? We see that played right now. This is just redundancy for that. That's even more splashable in decks too than Grand Arbiter is. And then we have Clarion Conqueror too, which is just the best stacks piece, null rod, pithing needle on a stick that I think that we've seen in a long time. And these 2 are going to see play on the high end of the power scale, absolutely, in Commander. So pick those up while you can. I think right now Voice of Victory is pre-ordering for $15 as a rare right now too. So yeah, people are definitely seeing it as going to be one to play coming up soon. Ruben, you had something.
Yeah. If you're looking for cards for CEDH and potentially even older formats, I'm thinking specifically Vintage, because you end up with a lot more mana in Vintage than you do in Legacy and Modern. Mistrise Village, I think, is what it's called.
The blue can't be countered
is it Mist Vale or is it Mistrise? I think it's Mistrise.
It is. I'm gonna pull it up here. It is Mistrise Village.
Mistrise Village. This one is also all the rage in the CEDH forums. I think that everybody would be, not everybody, but a lot of people are in the market for a spell that can't be countered. And people love Cavern of Souls, people love Beseiju. I would be in the market for a 5-mana Rhystic Study, a 6-mana Smothering Tithe, a 7-mana Seedborn Muse. I'm okay with all of those in my commander decks.
Yeah, I'm fine paying 4 mana for a Thassa's Oracle that can't be countered, or 3 mana for a Demonic Consultation that can't be interacted with. Perfectly fine with that. I definitely think that it's a good pickup. Alec, you had something to add as well?
Yes, I was just, while Dragonfire Blade was up on the screen, going back to our frame discussion, the Draconic frame on that card specifically, the way it's like colorless with like a little blue Ghostfire tint, is delightful to me.
Chef's
Beautiful.
Fantastic. All right, last call for any favorite cards before we move on to our Q&A. Anybody else want to shout out anything?
I'm good. I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna rebuild my mono blue dragon deck.
Nice.
I love this set. I think it's great. I love the Abzan Toughness Matters stuff, but I think that one's like a build your own situation. The new both of the Baitors. I love a big butt.
Amazing.
And also high toughness.
Fantastic. So we'll get into our Q&A. Everybody stick around because we are going to be doing our draws after our Q&A. And then we will be raiding tonight too. We'll get our raid target going in just a second. But let's dive into some of our Q&A. So first one's from Mia Byte in chat saying, is there any genre or setting from classic literature that you'd like to see Magic explore as a one-off set? This one's a bit of a noodle scratcher, and I think a big callback to some of the Shakespearean flavor text we used to get on cards way back in the day too.
It's literally the Sheldon's Spellbook Secret Lair Soul Ring that makes me feel in my heart that a Shakespearean set would absolutely slam, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that there's really interesting depths to Plum as it pertains to being inspired by literature in the past. I think that if we're doing a Universes Beyond situation like a Lord of the Rings, obviously the most likely scenario appears to be Brandon Sanderson. I tend to aim a little higher, but I think that Brandon Sanderson makes a lot of sense, and he's got a lot of fans, and I would love to see that. That is much more of a traditional Magic system kind of setting. Something like a Patrick Rothfuss Name of the Wind world also kind of makes sense as well.
Whenever he finishes it.
Whenever he finishes it, yeah. Well, we'll see if that ever happens. I, being a D&D head, want to just see the D&D stuff to come to Magic the Gathering. I want as much of like Dragonlance and the Forgotten Realms. I want more Battle for Baldur's Gate sets, stuff like that to come. So
let me tell you, if Dragonlance came to Magic, Shivam would be like, he would explode. He would die a happy man if Dragonlance came to Magic, for sure. You're mixing two of his favorite loves together. Right. Alec, any literary worlds you'd like to see Magic crossover with?
Yeah, no, I'm with Bobbie-Christine on this. I think one thing that's cool about Magic is, since it's a game designed around combat, generally what we get usually is representations of fighting, like physically. But I think sets like Strixhaven and other sets that are less, it's like fighting in a different style. I think there's something really cool that you could do there with the drama of a Shakespeare play, or just like a thematic world kind of like that. There's something there that I think could be really cool.
Yeah. Take me into the Inferno.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah,
that's
there
fun.
You go. I think that'd be a great one. Yeah. Oh, immediately getting my gears turning about something like that, please. All right, next question up is, what's your favorite dragon outside of Magic? This is from
great
Cyrone.
question.
Yeah,
wild question.
Yeah, what's your favorite dragon from outside of Magic? Anybody Smaug fan?
Yeah, I was gonna say Smaug is probably my first pick. I grew up with, my dad read me Lord of the Rings and the trilogy series when I was very, very young, and so that's probably where my first vote would go.
Smaug's inside Magic now.
Yeah, that's right. True.
I also grew up with Pete's Dragon. I'm a big Pete's Dragon. Also Puff the Magic Dragon. I mean, I love a Puff the Magic Dragon who lives by the sea, so could probably go in your mono blue deck. There's some great dragons out there.
Amazing. Bobbie-Christine, favorite dragon from outside of Magic?
That's a tough one. I'm just now realizing just how Magic pilled I am, of course. I used to watch Dragon Tales, the old childhood program.
Yeah.
Maybe a partner pairing. I think there was two of them. If I could think of another dragon I like outside of Magic, I'll let you know. But unfortunately, that was the first one to come to mind.
All right. Alec, favorite dragon from outside of Magic?
I love it. Yeah, not to bring in a rival card game here, but Charizard was the first thing I thought of.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Iconic dragon.
I love Ysera from World of Warcraft
That's
and
a great
Hearthstone.
one for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I'm also a big fan of the great and powerful Mushu from Mulan. I don't know how much of a dragon he is, but I like him.
Oh, amazing. Great choices all around, folks. Next up, once again from Mia Byte in chat, what would your ideal Magic video game look like? Caveat, cannot be a card game.
That's easy. I got it.
Yeah.
The guys who make the Dynasty Warrior franchise, like this couple of decade old Dynasty Warriors hack and slash genre, they did like Fire Emblem Warriors, and the one I'm obsessed with is Hyrule Warriors. So they take the genre of the hack and slash and they apply another universe to that genre, and to be able to play the planeswalkers just mowing through hordes of like Phyrexians mowing through hordes of Eldrazi spawns. I need it. I need gathering warriors. That's what I need.
Nice. Alec, if you had to choose Magic non-card game video game.
Yeah, I think honestly we should give franchises the ability to make like really bad video games of themselves, and I think that Magic is so expansive that it could be included into like any style of video game. So I'd just love to see more attempts. I know we had there was a game a few years ago that was kind of like Dead on Arrival. I'm not even really sure what the genre was really, but that something a little bit more than that. Like give us like an Elden Ring in Innistrad or something. Like I guess that's just Bloodborne, but something along those lines. Like give us from a From Software game in Magic. I think that'd be really cool.
Nice. Ruben?
If it's specifically video games, I think that the blueprint is Baldur's Gate 3. I think that being a group of planeswalkers traveling through a plane is endlessly usable and endlessly explorable. I would love to see them do something where you can pick a party of like a Johnny and Tezzeret and even maybe Nicol Bolas and go on an adventure fighting against whatever monsters are on whatever planes exist.
Can I romance Nicol Bolas?
Sure. Listen, who am I to say that you can't do something?
On that note, my call for non card game video game would be Magic the Gathering dating sim.
Okay.
I would love to see the team that does Dream Daddies. Is that the one?
I like that. That's fun.
Or Hatful Boyfriend.
I'm fully gay, but I am romancing Oko.
Yeah. There you go. But I would love to see a Magic the Gathering dating sim where you like date the planeswalkers, give them gifts. Dream Daddy. There you go. See? I would love to see a dating sim in the Magic world.
Yeah. Dead by Daylight did this.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think another avenue. I mean, if you want to move far away from cards, obviously you could do something in the roguelite genre. It doesn't have to be like Slay the Spire. It could be more like a Darkest Dungeon, where you actually have the sort of, or a turn-based RPG style adventure. We did have that once upon a time with forgetting the name of the game. Chandalar is the name. Is vaguely similar to what we're talking about. So I think that there is some avenue there.
I will say, please just don't do an MMO.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah. I think MMO is I think they tried to make that, if I'm not mistaken, and then it just never took off.
I think great shout out from Carson in chat. Immediately love this one. Elspeth escaping the underworld in a Hades style game.
Amazing. I love it.
Incredible. I would love to see that. Fantastic call out. Great one, Carson. Hire that man. All right. All right. Well, we're going to announce our winners, then do a quick round of our outros for everybody before we go and raid everyone's friend Daquan, Power Dragon,
Hey.
for the night too. So I want to announce the winners of our draws. Thank you everybody for your great donations. We've ended up with just about $250 in donations tonight. Thank you everybody. The Trevor Project thanks you for your donations as well. Our winners tonight are for the Infinite Tokens prize pack, the Real Gunjack. Congratulations, the Real Gunjack. And then for our Commander Precon, our first Commander Precon, Charred Spark. Congratulations, Charred Spark, on our first Commander Precon. Now, we didn't hit 250, but we're going to throw in another Precon anyway for everybody here. So we're going to announce the winner, Olsen 34. Olsen 34, congratulations for being our second Commander Precon winner. Congratulations to all of our winners, and once again, thank you everybody for donating tonight. Now, before we go and we do raid, I want to give everybody a chance to once again say who they are and where we can find them. Alec, why don't we start with you? Who are you and where can we find you?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name's Alec. I make the Faerie Conclave podcast where I interview cool people about their favorite decks. I forgot to mention at the top too, I'm also an ambassador for Tarkir Dragonstorm, and I have a really special episode for that coming out very soon. So look forward to that, and thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you for coming out first time. Absolutely loved having you out. Would love to have you back. Thank you again. Another first timer, Ruben. Let everybody know who you are and where we can find you. And thank you for donating your time tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Anytime I get to be on a camera, boy, I'm going to jump at the opportunity. Hi, everybody. I'm the Internet's Ruben Bressler. You can follow me everywhere at MoxReuby. I just released the first episode of the Newsening that I have in more than a decade, and it's doing gangbusters, and I'm really excited how excited people are about it. I'm hoping I get to make more of them. Maybe someone will pay me to put it on their website. Maybe I'll start a Patreon. I haven't decided. But it's hard making stuff. I admire people that can do it as regularly as y'all do. Man, I need someone to help me with my being on camera, and so I appreciate you letting me be here. I'm also one of the co-hosts of the Magic Mike's podcast with Evan Irwin and Power Dragon, who we're about to raid every Wednesday night, other than tonight. We do the week that was in Magic the Gathering news. And if you're interested in my non-Magic the Gathering related stuff, we just wrapped season 1 of Taskmaster Los Angeles, where I am the Taskmaster's assistant with my Taskmaster host, Ryan Omega, over on the Geek Public YouTube channel. So go over to Geek Public, check us out, giving tasks to luminaries in the nerd space, folks like Johnny Stanton, Kiri Callaghan, Michelle Wynn Bradley, Markia McCarty. We had tons of guests in the first season. We're super excited for season 2. We have lots of people hoping to come in and compete, and I'm hoping to see you there. So please check out all that stuff. And if you like my things, tell me about it. I'm like Tinkerbell. I need applause to stay alive. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Amazing. Thank you for coming out, Ruben. Loved having you on. And once again, thank you to our returning guest, Bobbie-Christine, once again. Thank you, Bobbie. Why don't you let us know who you are and where we can find you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Bobbie-Christine. You can find me everywhere at Bobbie-Christine. The one place I'd love for you to find me is if you're going to be at Vegas, come look for the giant bird. We're going to be there. We got the banner, we got the space, and we're going to be doing a lot of good work with Birds of Paradise. And this was just a delight. I'm always like a little nervous, but as soon as it starts, I was like, wait a second, I have so much to say. This is going to be fine. So amazing roundtable. Thank y'all for raising money for the Trevor Project. That's just one of the best things, one of the best causes you can do right now is as a trans woman. I'm just kidding. But no, really, it means a lot to be raising money for trans people right now. So thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us. This was awesome. And I love Gab and Magic, and I hope to do it again. Big hearts to everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Really do
I just
appreciate it.
want to say how big a fan I am of yours. And here on the C&C Power Hour, thank you for having us. You make a ton of great content. You bring people together. Bobbie-Christine, and Alec, I loved the things Alec, your preview video was like one of the best preview videos I've ever seen. It was one of the most utilitarian, useful preview videos of all time. Bobbie-Christine, but the Birds of Paradise are incredibly important to the community. So thank you so much for inviting me into your clubhouse. It's nice to be among friends.
Y'all rock. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have all of you. Thank you very much. And always a pleasure to have all of you out in the audience as well. Do stick around. We are raiding Daquan in just a moment as well. And you can catch us for our next round table coming up in a few months as well. Yes, we are doing one for Final Fantasy. So please do stick around. As always, I am Chris and I am your Commander Mechanic. Thank you, everyone. Take care and good night.